Hello again. Senior volunteerism is on the rise. With experience comes the knowledge that there are few things more satisfying than pitching in to help a worthwhile cause. Let's meet the Senior Ranger Corps, a group of volunteers helping the National Park Service repair and restore environmental projects.
On a rainy day in October, a group of dedicated members of the Volunteer Senior Ranger Corps is braving the cold to pick up trash along the Potomac River. Today's assignment, to restore the natural habitat at the Dyke Marsh Wildlife Preserve near Alexandria, Virginia.
Well, the environment will be protected one person at a time.
The Volunteer Senior Ranger Corps is a nationwide collaborative effort of the National Park Foundation, the National Park Service, and the Environmental Alliance for Senior Involvement. Each local program is structured to encourage participation by seniors as well as the young. The Dyke Marsh Cleanup is an initiative of the Northern Virginia Senior Environmental Corps, which is supported in part by the Campagna Center, a 30-year-old nonprofit human services organization.
Our aim today is to pick up as much trash as possible, to keep that trash from going further down the Potomac River into the Chesapeake Bay and then into the Atlantic Ocean.
According to the Environmental Protection Agency, wetlands such as the Dyke Marsh are disappearing across the U.S. at a rate of 60,000 acres per year. Many factors, including pollution, runoff from nearby farms, and new housing developments, contribute to this decline.
Dyke Marsh Wildlife Preserve is one of the largest remaining freshwater tidal marshlands along the Potomac River. And it's a very, very special environment. It's our job in the National Park Service to help protect areas like that.
Faced with tighter budgets and increasing public use of national parks, the National Park Service looks to volunteer programs such as this one to expand preservation efforts and help stretch resources.
Dyke Marsh Wildlife Preserve is affected by tides, for example, that come in twice a day. And those particular tides bring in trash. A lot of people don't realize that the trash that you drop in your neighborhood, if you're not careful with that, will go into the storm drains. And in many cases, will end up right here in the Potomac River next to us. So our aim today is to pick up as much trash as possible.
Whenever I come here, there's lots to pick up. Lots of plastic, lots of things that have been discarded by people that should be thrown away in proper receptacles rather than tossed into the Potomac and have it washed up on the shore here.
See that people continue to litter after knowing that the environment is trashed already, it makes me feel sad because they're not doing anything. They're just adding to the destruction, and they're just adding to the pollution and everything.
One of the Volunteer Senior Ranger Corps' goals is to raise public awareness of the benefits of wetlands and the need to protect them.
Folks can take a really active role in helping prevent pollution, certainly as far as litter. People oftentimes don't realize that that little cigarette butt that you put on the ground is litter, and it stays there for a very, very, very long time unless someone picks it up. It doesn't disintegrate very quickly. Certainly that's true of plastic. Certainly that's true of styrofoam.
It becomes part of education. I mean, as we educate our kids in the schools and our adults, they just learn how they can best help. Every little bit helps. You know, if you do nothing, then nothing gets done.
People in my generation don't really take the environment seriously and don't protect it that well, but we're all trying somehow. To spread the word, I go to school and I tell my friends, and then they tell their friends and everyone else.
Many participants in the Volunteer Senior Ranger Corps were environmental activists during their careers. Now they bring their talents and passion for the environment to help restore our natural resources on a volunteer basis.
When I was in a high policy level position, I was in a position to do something on a big scale to protect the environment. Now that I'm not in that position, I feel like it's just as important for me as an individual, as a citizen, to continue to do whatever I can to protect the environment.
The goal is to get people out and active in the community. Everybody has strengths that they can bring, whether it's something that you've done your whole life or your whole career, or you want to embark on something new. We'll have a place for you.
Well, I've been involved with a lot of service activities, not just environment, but obviously the environment's important because it's what our kids inherit from us.
Local volunteer Senior Ranger Corps are urged to bring seniors and young people together on projects. Each generation benefits from the company and ideas of the other, and the experience teaches young participants a respect for the environment at a formative stage of their lives.
Well, we always talk about that a family should get together to do more things. There's no better way to get together than just to help to clean up.
My dad has been part of the influence in my life for protecting the environment. I think it's important to volunteer because we need to help the environment and the animals in the environment because they're part of the world and we're part of the world.
President Theodore Roosevelt once said, "The nation behaves well if it treats the natural resources as assets that it must turn over to the next generation." The Volunteer Senior Ranger Corps seems to have embraced that notion wholeheartedly.
We have been incredibly blessed by the gifts that we've been given in terms of the environment, and I think we have an obligation, each and every one of us, to do whatever we can, however big or small may be our role, to protect the environment for future generations.
Well, there's no one silver bullet. It's just a matter of people doing a lot of different things that helps to reduce the waste. There's no one answer for everybody. It becomes part of education.
You know, the watchword of my career has been something that President Kennedy said. He said, "It is our task in our time and in our generation to hand down undiminished to those who come after us, as was handed down to us by those who came before, the natural wealth and beauty that are ours."
To these seniors, retirement isn't a time to leave such vital tasks to others. It's another opportunity to help.
Joining us in the studio to tell us more about the Senior Ranger Corps is Rafael Pargas, a 68-year-old volunteer and former member of the Army Corps of Engineers. Welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Tell me, Mr. Pargas, what exactly is Senior Ranger Corps?
Well, I can only speak as a volunteer. I don't run any of the programs. But it's what I have seen of it, about once a month, my group anyway, we show up along the Potomac, the shores of the Potomac River, and particularly this one is in Dyke Marsh, which is a little south of Reagan National Airport, north of Mount Vernon. And we go along the shoreline, pick up the debris that the high tide or, you know, the river deposits along the side of the shores. Occasionally, there are times when we clean out invasive vegetation. You won't believe this, but English ivy is considered invasive vegetation. That surprised me.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
So most of what you do is outside.
Yes.
So what are some of the typical things that you do? You clean up English ivy, and what else?
Well, that doesn't happen all the time.
Right.
You won't believe it, but I thought, you know, the trash along the Potomac River was deposited by picnickers or tourists who, you know, don't even bother to go to the trash can. It's really Mother Nature that does it, as far as I can tell. The tide comes in every now and then, or maybe it flows down from upstream and just leaves these debris along the side of the shores.
Do you get involved with a lot of the other volunteers? Do you get to work together as a unit?
Yes, we get to meet each other on the morning that we show up. It's usually early on a Saturday morning, and they assign us into groups. There are park rangers over there. First, you get a kind of like a quick briefing, you know, safety precautions. Don't pick up any hypodermic needles and stuff like that.
Yeah, sure. What do you get out of it?
Oh, me, personally, you know, I want to preserve the planet as much as I can, and I feel that I'm contributing in this way to it. I also get exercise. You know, you're outdoors, You talk about walking 10,000 steps. You walk 10,000 steps in that morning.
And that 10,000
more.
steps is 5 miles.
Right. That's true.
Have you seen a lot of improvement in some of the places that you've worked on?
Oh, yes. And as a matter of fact, there are a lot of hikers and joggers that use the path. And they have told us repeatedly that when we are there, they can see a big improvement.
Really?
Right.
How many volunteers come to an area at a time?
I'll have to guess, you know, it's maybe 3 or 4 dozen. Oh, there's a high school in Alexandria. Is it T.J. Williams or something like that? They have a lot of kids that show up. T.C. Williams, they show up over there. And I believe it's part of their community program, community service program. And they're a lot of help. There are Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts, Girl Scouts. If there are any scout leaders or den mothers that are listening to this program, it's a good program to get your kids involved in.
How does one become actually involved in Senior Ranger Corps?
Get in touch with them. Tell them you're interested. I went in for an interview. I told them everything that I was interested in, and they got me in touch with the people that, you know, that handle these things. Virginia, Northern Virginia anyway, Alexandria and Arlington, where I live, seems to have a very good program as far as taking care of retirees anyway.
Sure, and I
And,
understand that's nationwide. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, you're quite
Very
welcome. I
interesting.
enjoyed it.